Hey guys, how's it going? And welcome back to another Stock Kings YouTube video. And today we will be going over ARK Invest's and Cathie Wood's newest ETF, their ARKx, ARK Space Exploration and Innovation ETF. Now there has been a lot of hype around this stock, and a lot of people have a lot of question marks, wondering, should I get some of this stock? Should I be putting my money into this? Now in this video, we'll be going over some of the top holdings and trying to kind of break down what those holdings are and why they are in this ETF. Now, if you have seen some of these kind of larger stocks in this ETF, you may be wondering, why are they in this? Now, we'll be relating a lot of these companies to space and kind of showing you why they are in this ETF. Kind of discussing what this ETF is. Why invest in ARKx? We're here on the website. Exposure to space exploration, including orbital and suborbital aerospace, enabling technologies and beneficiaries of aerospace activities such as agriculture, internet access, global positioning system, GPS, construction, and imaging. Now, you might be wondering, what do these have to do with space? And we'll be getting into that a little later in the video. But to also kind of give you some more information, the manager will be, again, Cathie Wood. We have a median market cap of 30 billion, weighted average market cap of 176 billion, and the typical holdings will be around 40 to 55. However, this is not the case for now. There is only currently around 38 holdings, but this is an actively traded ETF, so Cathie will be adding more companies as this ETF continues to grow, and we should be expecting around 40 to 50 being the total. And finally, we have an expense ratio of 0.75%, so that is something to also be aware of. Now, moving on to the holdings of this ETF, we have this chart here. And this is kind of all of the holdings of this ETF. Again, we can see there's 38 total companies, with the largest holding being Trimble at 8.47%. Now, looking at a lot of these companies, you will be noticing, we have John Deere, Amazon, Google, Garmin, companies like Netflix, Workhorse, Tencent, and you'll be thinking to yourself, why are these companies in this space and exploration ETF? What do they have to do with space? And now I was wondering a lot of this myself. And for the point of this video, I will be going into the top 4 holdings in Trimble, the 3D printed ETF, which is another ARK Invest ETF, as well as Kratos Defense and L3 Harris. To keep this video from going and being too long-winded, I will only be going over these top 4. However, if you want me to go over some more of these companies that you may not be as familiar with, please let me know down in the comments, and I will be more than willing to come out with another video discussing more of these companies. But let's get right into Trimble Inc., who again is not exactly a pure space play like a lot of these companies like John Deere and Amazon and Google, but we will be going over this and relating it to space and exploration. So what Trimble, their main kind of business is around construction. They are involved in a lot of different industries, such as agriculture, again, construction, geospatial, transportation, and much more. However, to kind of go over this company, they are a very safe play. They have grown on average at about a clip of 7 to 8% year over year, with the exception of 2020, where they saw a dip of around 30%. However, that is understandable, as a lot of companies also dipped during that year. But to kind of relate this to their space and exploration, we'll be going over the geospatial side of their business. So what they kind of have in this kind of part of their business, they have land surveying, mapping in GIS, laser scanning, and mobile mapping. Now, these are probably the 3 closest kind of areas that I could get to space and exploration, with mapping, lasers, mobile mapping, and they kind of do topography surveys, analysis of this scanning and mapping, and that is kind of a related to space and exploration. However, it's not a pure space play like some of the other companies that we see in the ETF. However, a lot of these pure space plays are not fully ready to be large parts of such a large and popular ETF like ARKx. So we are expecting them to grow, 5 to 10 years in the future. However, with ARKX being out now, they are looking to put safe, stable growth companies like your Google, Amazon, and now Trimble in this so they can grow the ETF until we see large growth in the pure space place from 5 to 10 years from now. So that is why, in my opinion, that you see some of these non-space plays being put into this ETF, as they will hope to grow it until these other pure space plays are further developed in their technologies. So moving on to the next largest holding in this ETF, we have the 3D printed ETF, which is Cathie Wood's own ETF, which is around 6%, and the Trimble ETF was 8.47%. To kind of break this down for you guys, if you have $100 invested into this ETF, you can expect $8.47 to go to Trimble and $6 to go to the 3D printed ETF. So moving over here, we have PRNT, which is all kind of a hodgepodge of 3D printed technologies, or companies related to this industry. And let's not be super naive about why this was the second largest holding in this ETF. Now we know with this expense ratio, for every $100 that you put into these ARK ETFs, Cathie Woods receives around 75 cents. So with her own ETF being one of the largest holdings in her other ETF, for every $100 that is invested, she is receiving another 75 cents. So this is a very smart move on Cathie's part in putting a lot of money into her own pocket. But to kind of relate the 3D printing kind of industry to space and exploration, I will be relating this to Nano Dimension. In a previous video, I discussed that Nano Dimension was working with the International Space Station to put one of their 3D printed technologies into space so they can use it there and print some of their products and make it much easier for them. Instead of having to bring products back and forth, they can create their own in space. So that's why this ETF is related to the space industry, and we can kind of see here some of the top holdings. And again, we notice that Trimble is one of the top holdings in this ETF as well. So just be aware, Trimble will be a large holding in this ETF, and a lot of your money will be going towards this company. So if you like Trimble, which I do personally, that is where a lot of your money will go. But yeah, this is all of the companies in this ETF, and you can go over this for yourself. It is all on ARKInvest's website. But to go over the third largest holding being Kratos Defense and Security with a 5.93% weight in this ETF. This is one of the more pure space plays, in my opinion. Going to their website, we can see right away we get kind of this aircraft as well as some space in the background with some space objects. So it's definitely a technology space driven company. You can see that right away, and they're trying to show that off to us. They have a lot of space technologies, and a lot of their money comes from government contracts. So with that being a government contract company, they have a very low floor, because with these government contracts, they are almost guaranteed money or revenue year after year. And what they are mostly involved in is kind of aircraft and warfighter training, combat systems. So it's kind of intense, a lot of their what they're doing here. But they also do a lot of space technologies. If we go over some of these technologies, we can see they have this UAV here, space communication satellites. They do advanced turbines, autonomous fighters with their UAVs, command systems, virtual ground systems, space situational awareness, and signal management. So a lot of this space communication is probably their biggest part of this space industry that they will be involved in. However, I do really like this company being one of the largest holdings in this ETF as a pure space play, because they are, have those government contracts being such a low floor, or excuse me, high floor. There's not a lot of room for this company to go down, and the sky's the limit with this kind of space exploration technology, and they will be leading the way in this industry. So this is more of a kind of warcraft, war-related kind of company. So just be aware of that. A lot of your money in this ETF will be headed towards Kratos. Shout out to the god of war. But going to our next ETF, or excuse me, next company in this ETF, we can see it is L3 Harris Technologies, ticker symbol LHHX, and they have a weight of around 4.99%. So going over this, we can see it has a very Call of Duty vibe. Again, another government contract company with a very high floor, and they have a lot of capabilities. They discuss air in their domain, land, sea, space, cyber, and multi-domain. So that is kind of where they're involved. However, we are mostly focused on their space. So let's go into that. They have flawless solutions for the final frontier. For decades, our innovations in the space domain have been keeping our customers and their missions connected successfully and safe, and we've built on that legacy to become an industry leader. So as you can see, they are already leading innovation in the space industry, and a lot of their capabilities come from these satellites and communications in space to kind of keep people safe and have missions successful. So moving down a little bit, we can kind of go over some of the things they like to highlight, being their small sat perimeter truss reflector, their launch vehicle Phoenix flight computer, and also their Space View small satellite imaging solutions. So that is a big part of their business, this satellite imaging. And that is something that is definitely related to space, this being a pure space play. They also have the small satellites, converters, receivers, filters, and they do weather tracking from space as well. So this is also a company that I am very excited about, and I am glad it is a large holding in this ARKX ETF, as I believe this will be a industry leader for space exploration. However, that is all we will be going over on this ARKX ETF. If you guys want to learn more about some of these companies that you may not be super aware about, let me know down in the comments, and we'll be going over, or we can make another video discussing some of these other companies in this ARKX ETF. So let me know down in the comments what other companies you want me to go in depth and break down. But for now, this is all the information that I have for you guys on the ARK Invest ARKX ETF. If you enjoyed this content and found value in it, please drop a like, subscribe to the channel, turn on post notifications so you know whenever we come out with new videos. And I also have my Instagram link down below if you'd be interested in following that. But as always, guys, I hope you have an excellent day, and I will see you in the next one. Peace.